Hello, I'm Pastor Aaron. Welcome to Redeemer Lutheran's Midweek Devotion. Thanks for watching. In these midweek devotions that I've been offering, we've been covering this topic of peace. And most recently, we've introduced the concept of the wilderness, where God teaches His people to rely on Him and that covenant of peace that He's established with them. He's trained us in the hardships of our lives even, that we often call to a wilderness, this barren land, to trust in Him. We can because He always provides for us. So we'll pick it up with the children of Israel leave Mount Sinai, and in a very short time, and a few battle victories later, God leads the people of Israel right up to the doorway of the promised land, the land of Canaan, a land that the Israelite spies reported as being flowing with milk and honey. That was the land of Canaan, and that was the land that God had promised to give His people. You would think, well, so what prevented them? Well, fear. Fear prevented them. And now that seems strange to us. Why would they be afraid to go into the promised land, since God had demonstrated that He loved them, since He had demonstrated that He would provide for them, since He demonstrated that He could defeat the enemies that attacked them? I suppose we could say it just was too much. They were overwhelmed by the report of the people who had come back from, we call it spying on, but really investigating the land. And they thought, oh, these people are big and they're strong, and oh, I don't know if we can take them. And so their worries infected the entire Israelite community. There were just a handful that sided with Joshua and Caleb, who believed that with the Lord's help they would be able to enter the land and have no problem conquering their enemies. But the people complained. And God did what some football coaches do. He made them take a lap. If you're gonna pull these kinds of stunts, you want to make you take a lap. Only their lap was about 40 years in the wilderness. So it was, again, another training mission. You don't trust me? Well, here we go again. We're gonna build some trust. So that's what God does in that wilderness training. He's teaching His people to completely rely on Him. And it's during that wilderness training, that 40 years of wilderness training, that the people get tired of the food that God's been giving them. They don't like the manna's too common, the quail is too common. They want something. They even suggest that they were better off in Egypt. And they say we detest this miserable food, right? That they are sick of this relationship. They don't like the way God's been providing for them, so much so that they think they'd be better off in the bonds of slavery. Now that's foolish, really. There's no way they would have been better under slavery. And so that's again why God sends the snakes into the camp. Remember that? And the snakes teach these people a lesson. There's a consequence for breaking this covenant of peace with God, for breaking trust with God, and complaining against Him. However, while they were venomous snakes, very deadly, God provides a very interesting solution. He has Moses fashion a snake out of bronze and put it on a stick. And anybody who looked at that snake trusting that if they looked at it they would be healed, as Moses had told them, then they would be healed. And the snake venom wouldn't kill them. And of course, those who refused to trust would die. You see what God was again teaching His people in very vivid fashion? There is only one you can trust to deliver you from the venom, right? From the deadly conditions in this world, but even more so from the venom of sin and devil and death. You know, Jesus, in speaking to the Pharisee Nicodemus under the cloak of darkness one evening, reminded Nicodemus that just as that serpent had been lifted up on a pole in the wilderness, so he was going to be raised up on a cross. And the point there is that all who look to Him in faith will be saved. The same way. You trust that what God says about His Son is true. You trust that what God said His Son accomplished is true. You will be saved. And in that sacrifice of Jesus, brothers and sisters, you and I have absolute peace in God and confidence in Him that He will take care of everything else that we need. And that as we journey through this wilderness of life, it is just that, a journey. This is not our destination. He's leading us from Eden to the new Eden, the new paradise that He's created for us in heaven. And as we struggle in this barren land and wilderness, God keeps reaching out to us and saying, trust me. Have a great week.